Hey guys, Andrew Hohlfeld. What are we doing today? Today we're doing a photo shoot. I got my Honda Fury back here. This is a 010. So I'm going to be setting up my Profoto setup here. I got one B1 head with an umbrella. I'm going to shoot that from over the top. I got a photo shoot coming up here with Attack on One next weekend, and I'm going to be using these same lights for that. So this gives me a chance to practice. I haven't done a lot of photo shoots recently. I've been more doing video stuff. So this will be a good experience. So I'm going to get this set up and we're going to take a few pictures here, and I'm going to show you guys what I do to capture my images. So let's get to it. Okay, so first and foremost, I am going to be setting up a Manfrotto boom stand. This is a pretty expensive stand. I don't use it an awful lot simply for the fact that it's really heavy and it's tall. I'm 6'5" and this thing comes right up to my stomach. Now, carrying this around in this bag makes it a little bit easier, but I still can't get this thing zipped closed. So this stand only gets used when I'm using for boom purposes. This shot I'm going to be booming overhead, so I'm going to use this. Now I also have, in conjunction with the boom stand, I got a couple sandbags. This is very important when you're using equipment that has a lot of weight to it. Those Profoto B1 heads are really heavy, so these sandbags should do a pretty good job in keeping this stand where it needs to be. So when you're setting up your tripod for your lighting, you want to make sure that one leg is facing the direction with the light. This is going to give you the most stability. See how much power it takes to push up on that? If you'd have your light stand this way, not as much power. I can easily push that up. So I'm going to put one leg forward, sandbag on the back side here. I have another sandbag, which this one clips onto the back side of the stand here. Now that's going to give you even more support. So we'll go like that for now. So this is the mother daddy of them all right here. When I use for portrait purposes, this thing will overpower the sun. You know, high noon sun, it's going to struggle a little bit, but if you got lighting like this, if you're not in direct sunlight, this thing will do a fantastic job. Now I only got one of these, and they just came out with a new version. I think it was the Profoto B1X, I want to say. Anyway, that has a brighter modeling light. Nothing too much over this one. This thing is awesome. So I'm going to put it right onto my stand here. There's just a thumb screw that locks it in place. You want to face that the direction you're going to be shooting. And look at that, you can already tell that there's a lot of weight on this thing. So I'm going to get this, out there a little bit. You want this pretty much, you know, it could be off to the side a little bit, but for the most part you want this directly in front. Oh man, that's a lot of weight. Is it gonna stay? Looks like it's gonna stay, barely. I'm gonna go up with this because the umbrella is gonna be in the frame. So directly up top here, this B1 has an umbrella little slot, so you can just take your umbrella, you shove it through, and that just pops into place there. Okay, so this is the basic setup for the first couple shots I'm going to do. Just one overhead light. We're going to overpower the sun. I got the driveway in the back here, and I like how it just kind of stretches down. It looks really nice. We'll shoot at a nice shallow depth of field. We'll blow that background out. It'll just be a nice kind of milky backdrop for this bike here. So I'm going to power up my B1 here, and we're going to take a couple test shots. Okay, so this photo shoot, I got the Profoto TTL-C remote here on top. This will give me TTL, which most of the time I do use the Profoto and TTL. It does a pretty good job. There are a few times where I have to lock it down into manual, but for this shoot, we're going to give TTL a shot. We're going to see how it goes. On the side here, I got running through this lightning port here. I think that's what it's called. I got my Young Newell E3 RT. I use this as a secondary trigger for my 600EX RTs. Now the reason I went with the Young Newell one, I originally had the Canon version. The Canon version doesn't have a USB to update firmware. This one does. And the Canon version won't work as a secondary trigger, so you can't use them both at the same time. The newer one, with one of the firmware updates around 1 point something, they added the ability to use this through the lightning trigger. So this one will be in TTL on top. The one on the side here will be using in manual. Now this I always use for rim lighting or special effects backlighting. I like those light flares coming into the camera sometimes, and this does an awesome job. The only thing is when you're changing the power, you can change the power through this, but you have to hit the test button to apply it to the lights in the back every time. Not a big deal. I still think it works pretty well. For my camera, I'm using a 5D Mark III. Now I know the Mark IV is out. This one still does a fantastic job. I love this camera. And for photo purposes, this is my go-to camera. I got a 16-35 on here, 2.8L. And I'm gonna take a couple test shots with this one, get a couple wide shots first, and we will see what these look like. So I got my Profoto set up here. I got it in high speed sync. I got an ISO of 200. That's the lowest it can go on the Canon 5D Mark III. I got a aperture of 2.8, and I'm going to be riding the shutter because this thing is in high speed and it should keep up. It's a 500 watt lighting setup here. So we'll take a couple shots here and we'll see how these look. Okay, so we got a little bit of overexposure, and I still think I want to dial down the ambient lighting a little bit more, so I'm going to do that. Actually, let's go into live view and see what we're getting here. So I dialed the ambient light back. We're at a shutter speed of 1/2000th of a second. And I'm going to switch back over to photos here and snap a couple. And that looks pretty darn good right there. No overexposed warnings. I can see a lot of detail in the sky there. And yeah, I think that looks pretty fantastic. I'm going to shift the direction of the bike just a little bit. So let's go for that look once. And that looks pretty darn cool right there. Got the tree in the background. That looks pretty sharp. Okay, let's snap a few more here. Very, very nice. I'm going to turn off the head once, just to show you guys the difference of what it's actually doing. So this shot is without the flash, and you can see right there that is well underexposed. So I'm going to turn that back on. Take another shot here, and there we go. That thing is lit up nicely. There's a lot of bugs out here today. So I'm liking the way that that's looking. It's not bad. I'm going to switch into manual once. Now that it's got the lighting dialed in, I'm going to bump that up just a little bit. So I'm going to give it a little more energy, a little more power. And that looks great. Just a little more punch to it. Okay, shift angles here a little bit. I think I'm going to switch out lenses. I'm going to go to, for some of these detail shots, I'm gonna switch out to a macro 100 2.8 Canon lens. Fantastic lens. This thing will get you nice blown out backgrounds, so we'll get to that. So I'm gonna take some detail shots. Some of the stuff on this bike that I feel, and I can see myself in the reflection. That's one thing you gotta watch out for is, you know, yourself or, man, I can still see myself. I'm gonna have to come way over here. I'm just looking for details on the bike that I feel stand out, make this thing unique. And to me, the cone is one of the big things. These forward controls on this bike are really, really pretty. So I'm gonna take a couple shots of those. Okay, let's snag a couple more shots of that from a different angle there. Let's see. So that looks good. That's one of the features. Let's see, another feature would be the mirrors. Now, these shots I might just, yeah, let's see what happens here. The lighting might not be quite right. So something like that we're looking at. That looks beautiful. All right. Bump that up a little bit. Okay, those two features. Next feature I think that really stands out is this headlight here. I painted this thing black, left the ring around the front here chrome. To me, that's a feature that stands out. So I'm going to take a couple pictures of this. Up here I have a DC 12 volt cigarette lighter and a 5 volt charger for iPhones and stuff like that. I use this in conjunction with my my iPhone for navigation and stuff. So to me that's a selling feature. So I'm going to open this up just to let people see that you could use it for your phone if you wanted to. God, there's gnats out here like you wouldn't frickin' believe. And I think those photos look pretty good. We'll get a even tighter one. Perfect. Okay, so on the back here, back fender, I got a decal of a snake. I think that's kind of cool. Also, I modified this license plate bracket. The license plate used to be mounted here. This I ended up grinding off. I think I did a pretty fantastic job of modifying this, so I'm gonna take some pictures of this. Okay, so that's slightly over. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit. I'm gonna try to shoot. Let's shoot a portrait here. And I think that's a great shot. It looks clean. I'm gonna try dropping the umbrella once. We'll go for a more harsh, grungy look since this is a motorcycle. Without that umbrella, it definitely harshens the shadows quite a bit. Doesn't look bad, but it does harshen them. Okay, so I'll take a couple pictures of the seat here. Not bad. I think that looks pretty good. That looks pretty sweet. I think I'm going to add a little more punch. Okay, so I switched back to my 16-35 here. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to try to dial down the ambient a little bit more. I think that looks pretty darn decent. And the tree's just coming out of the front headlight a little bit, so I'm going to shift my angle just a little bit here. And those look pretty good. I'm liking those. I'm going to get slightly closer, get a more downward angle. Make it look a little larger than life here. Oh, this is going to be hard without the flip screen. That's what I don't like about this camera. I have to pump up the energy a little bit. Okay. Well, that shot looks amazing. Okay, so I got a pretty good amount of photos with wide. I do need to get the detail of the radiator grill here. God, that's hard to do. Bring this light around a little bit. I'm shooting these wide open, 2.8 at, I'm gonna try to get 200 mil on here without getting the umbrella and stand. $200 mil. I think that looks pretty good. The background's very, very smooth. I'll shift this way just a little bit to get those pine trees out of the background. Okay, I just wanted to make sure the flash was going off. It's hard to see when you're looking through the lens. Thinking those are looking pretty fantastic. I think I'm gonna like turn the bike ever so slightly. That looks pretty good. I like that. I always love the look that this 70 to 200 gives everything. It's just like buttery smooth. Like really buttery smooth bokeh, like just super beautiful. Yeah, well, that's a wrap. So I hope you guys enjoyed following me along here on this little photo shoot. Out of all the pictures, I think my favorite ones came from the 70 to 200, simply for the fact that this gives that nice, buttery smooth background. Yeah, Profoto B1 here held up greatly. It was pretty much on full power almost the entire shoot. It is really bright out here. So yeah, until next time, I'll be doing a photo shoot with a tack on 1 here, and I hope that goes well. See you guys.